Modern digital culture treats intelligence as a commodified asset. It is packaged as a viral aesthetic, an easily digestible number to drop in a social media bio or a performative flex. This behavior relies on social currency. Users share complex infographics or take culture-fair induction tests to signal their intellectual values to their social network. While these digital signals aim to create connection, actual extreme intelligence very often results in severe physical and social isolation. This extreme isolation is most severe at the 99.9th percentile, the entry threshold for groups like the 999 Society. Popular culture views high IQ as a linear advantage, but the statistical reality for the extreme right tail is one of cognitive alienation. Understanding this alienation requires looking at how clinical intelligence has historically been measured. Early evaluations relied on rigid written tests to sort large populations quickly. Modern psychometrics has moved past these early single-score exams and basic ratio-based quotients. Researchers recognize the G factor, or general intelligence, as an underlying trait, but quantifying it accurately requires a multifaceted testing architecture. The modern gold standard for this assessment is the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, or the WAIST-4. The WAIST-4 provides a mechanical breakdown of raw processing power, revealing the specific structural reasons why extreme scores break social bonds. The WAIST-4 model is built on 4 pillars. The first two are verbal comprehension, or VCI, and perceptual reasoning, known as PRI. VCI evaluates crystallized knowledge and verbal logic, while PRI measures fluid reasoning and spatial processing. The final 2 pillars, working memory and processing speed, function as the cognitive engine. Working memory represents the capacity to hold and manipulate data in short-term recall, while processing speed measures the velocity of mental output. Across these indices, the statistical mean score is anchored at 100. With a standard deviation of 15 points, human infrastructure, from the pace of classrooms to workplace communication, is engineered for the 85 to 115 bandwidth. When these pillars operate within that standard deviation, human communication flows seamlessly. When they radically deviate, the system fractures. The normal distribution curve acts as the universal map for human cognitive variance. The central bulge represents the vast majority of the population. At an IQ of 130, we reach the top 2%, the entry threshold for Mensa. Individuals at this level usually maintain functional social synchronization with the broader population. Pushing far to the right of the curve, we hit an IQ of 146. This is the top 0.1%, represented by the 999 Society. This percentile exists more than 3 standard deviations from the norm. Finding a cognitive peer in a random physical environment at this level is a 1 in 1,000 probability. This distance creates a massive communication gap. Maxed out working memory and processing speed create a mental output rate and pattern recognition capability that drastically outpaces standard physical conversation. At the 99.9th percentile, cognitive capability creates a structural barrier to everyday connection. This mathematical distance imposes a significant psychological burden on the individual. Intelligence researchers note that extreme deviation from the mean leaves individuals feeling perpetually out of sync with their physical environment. It is a brain that has been overclocked. Its processing speed and working memory run too fast for the surrounding societal machinery to process. This persistent mismatch often leads to clinical frustration, depression, or social alienation. Routine everyday tasks, repetitive small talk, and standard employment rarely provide the cognitive arousal necessary for these individuals to engage meaningfully. Geographic reality, schools, workplaces, and neighborhoods almost never naturally groups these 1 in 1,000 outliers together. Because physical reality fails to provide peers, the extreme right tail must seek a different infrastructure to survive socially. The digital landscape acts as a countermeasure to this physical isolation. Internet platforms and asynchronous networks dismantle geographic boundaries, allowing for instant global connections. This is where identity signaling becomes a practical tool. Sharing complex, counterintuitive, or high-arousal information online functions as a specialized social filter. This chart shows the distribution of US YouTube trending videos by genre. The vast majority of platform trending content is driven by mass appeal categories like gaming and entertainment. The extreme right tail uses highly specific intellectual content, not to reach the masses, but as a beacon to attract the few others operating at their level. For the 99.9th percentile, viral sharing is a vital sorting mechanism to locate other nodes operating on their cognitive frequency. The clinical WAIS-4 architecture remains the foundational reality. Intelligence is a mechanical measurement of processing power, not a moral judgment. When these indices scale so high they break their tethers to the norm, the individual loses physical synchronization with the surrounding world. Extreme intelligence functions as both a high-precision analytical tool and a systemic barrier to standard human connection. High IQ societies like the 999 are not about elitism. They are essential support networks for the statistically isolated. Digital curation provides a lifeline that physical reality cannot offer. When these isolated data points bypass geography through digital infrastructure, they finally form a coherent network. While extreme intelligence may physically isolate an individual, the mechanics of digital virality and identity signaling provide the only infrastructure capable of bridging the vast statistical gaps between them.